everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today we'll be doing a Chanel unboxing, and we're moving on in the realm of Chance. So this is where it's at. Chance, the Eau de Toilette, 150 ml. Thank you, Chanel, for these little freebies that came along with it. The Coco Mademoiselle Eau de Parfum 1.5 ml splash bottle. Super cute. Love these miniatures. And a 5 milliliter Gabrielle Essence Eau de Parfum splash bottle, little miniature bottle. Thank you for that, Coco. Moving on. Now, as we move on, first things first, for my patrons, thank you so much for supporting the channel. On Patreon, this video will be premiering before it premieres on YouTube, and on Patreon it will be ad-free while the ads are running on YouTube. So if you wish to watch them ad-free and also to see exclusive videos that only hit Patreon, consider becoming a patron. Super Dacob all spelled together. Thank you guys so much. Now moving on to the unboxing. 150 ml, this is the biggest one they got. For those of you who have seen already my first kind of confrontation or discovery of Chance through the Pure perfume, I can put it here. You've seen me unbox it and give the first impressions. I'm also doing a review on this one. Not quite sure when it's gonna be shown on YouTube, chronologically speaking, either before this video or after. If it will be shown before this video, then there's a link to the review. Otherwise, the link will come later. Let's see how this... Okay, so they did not like step up their game with, you know, the cardboard construction for Chance. They didn't make a beautiful one like they do for their number 5 L'Eau or the Coco Mademoiselle Intense, as well as Gabrielle. But maybe it will come with time. Here is our Chance Eau de Toilette. So it is funny to see the comparison between the biggest bottle in existence and the smallest one. 150 ml and 7.5 ml. Eau de Toilette, the lightest concentration, and then the darkest, hardest concentration, which is the pure perfume, the parfum. What to say about it? Both of them were released in 2003, and both of them were a continuation of the story on Coco Mademoiselle. So this is something I'm going to touch base on in this review, but might as well also talk about it a little bit here. Coco Mademoiselle is the first time Jacques Polge, who's the creator, by the way, of also Chance, the fragrance, as well as Coco Mademoiselle. It was the first time he delved into the sweet patchouli realm. Now, Jacques Polge, and I've mentioned this in many of my past videos, or other videos, he was quite keen on patchouli. He liked patchouli. I mean, the man really liked patchouli. And we see it in Anteos, but the epitome of it, and then also in the Les Exclusives range, throughout the entire range, but the epitome of it was Coco Mademoiselle with an overdose of patchouli and sweetness. Now, Coco Mademoiselle was released just a couple of years before Chance came on the market, and Coco Mademoiselle played with a lot of patchouli. It's as if he learned the extremities of patchouli, and then after that, after releasing Coco Mademoiselle, toned it down, learned how to render it in a more elegant manner, and that's how then Chance appeared. Because the Eau de Toilette, in fact, has patchouli listed in 2 stages of the fragrance. It's in the top notes and it's also in the base notes. That's how much patchouli plays a fundamental role in the Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Toilette is quite different from the pure perfume in many ways. Let's just spray it. Let me place this one like that, because you never know if it's going to leak or not, because this is a splash bottle. Okay, so before we do that, here you have all of the notes. I mean, not the notes, the information regarding the Eau de Toilette, and batch code 4001. This one was purchased early 2020. Let's move all this away. Okay. Oh, there you go. You can see how much liquid we got there. It's so funny how this stopper is the size of the bottle. I mean, not the stopper, the lid. This is glass, this is plastic. It is really delicious. It took me many, many years to fall in love with Chance, to give it a chance. And now that we've given it a chance, we love it. And I think it took its time to get, I don't know, for me to desensitize myself from how overused it used to be in the past. Now you don't smell it everywhere on the streets. So that's a good sign. And also, it has matured really well. I think the times are more, I mean, it was very popular when it came out. It was really a huge success for Chanel. So I'm sure they're not complaining still today. They've earned a lot of money from Chance throughout the years, but it's not their best seller at the moment. However, I think the times are ripe and ready for Chance again, and I am loving it. The Eau de Toilette more than the Eau de Parfum. Now, the pure perfume is the one I like the most. It's just incredible. It's just although it is a pity that they're only making 7.5 milliliters of this one because it's really tiny, but it is the most beautiful dry down you can get of Chance is in the pure perfume. The Eau de Toilette is a bit tricky. It is very beautiful the way it opens with the patchouli and a very kind of infamous twist to the whole thing, which is the pineapple. I'm adoring the pineapple here, the iris, the hyacinth, and the red pepper. And then we move on to the middle notes with the jasmine, with rose, with lemon, and then we go deeper down into the dry down in the base notes, which is again patchouli, musk, vetiver, and vanilla. The dry down on Chance is a little bit difficult. In the dry down of this fragrance, on my skin, it can tend to go stale, but not the smell per se, the overall feel of it. After a couple of hours have passed, it can sedimentate itself in a light vanilla slash minimal musky with minimal patchouli added to it layer. But, and this is something that I do when in the dry down of fragrances that I like in general. So when the fragrance is really drying down on your skin, let's say on your wrist where I sprayed it here, what I do is, and I've mentioned this in my other videos, I warm it up, like I blow onto it with my nose, with my nostrils, just to heat up that area. And then as I heat it up, I inhale again. And you literally pop open the last molecules of the perfume by doing so. And it almost does a sort of rewind or reset button to the fragrance, so that from the dry down, you get to relive a memory of the opening notes mixed with the dry down, and then it's so beautiful. So if you just let Chance kind of stalify itself, you know, tone itself down on your skin, you could experience a slightly blander dry down. But if you warm it up and you sizzle out the top notes again, the memory of them, it's going to be amazing. And that's what I do with it. And also, you know, I got myself a big bottle because I like to refresh a perfume, and Chance is definitely something that you can respray over and over again throughout the day. It is quintessentially Chanel, meaning it has that slight detached elegance in the way it smells. You know, it's I don't want to call it arrogant, but it is in a way. It's a little bit snobby because it stays cool, calm, and collected. No matter how much you push it in any direction, it's still going to remain sober. So, as opposed to, for example, Opium by Yves Saint Laurent, Opium has a character that can scream. And if you overdo it, if you use too much of the Eau de Toilette in particular, or the Eau de Parfum, the pure perfume is a different story, but the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum, if you use too much of it, it can go into that tacky direction. And by tacky, yeah, I mean, if you can't pull it off in the right way, it will not be opulent anymore as it's supposed to be, because it's an opulent oriental fragrance, but it's rather going to go into that overdone overdose. Funny that we're talking about overdose when we're talking about opium, haha. But with Chance, you can't really OD on it. It will remain, you know, true to its legacy. I mean, I know Coco Chanel was not alive when this one was created, but it will stay true to Chanel. What does this mean? This means that no matter how much you spray it, it will still go back, it will still rein itself back to that elegant tone of it being a Chanel perfume. Never too hot, never too cold, right in the middle, slightly subdued. Just like Coco would say, before you leave the house, take 1 or 2 accessories off your body rather than adding some. Take something off and then leave the house. That's what Chance is as well. It is opulent. It does start off with that pineapple. It does have that pink pepper, the hyacinth, and the iris, but it's still getting dressed to leave the house. And when it leaves the house, it's when it kicks the dry down, and that's when it takes all the accessories off. And it minimalizes itself. It's very Chanel that way. Let's get quickly to the bottle. This is something to mention definitely in the pure perfume review. So the first Chanel bottle that is round instead of it being, well, it's not really the first Chanel bottle to be round. I mean, in the 30s and the 40s and also in the 50s, Chanel did make round bottles, but not flat round, rather, you know, standing up straight and then round. So this one is a rounded bottle in its horizontal stage, or in its horizontal shape. In the vertical shape, it's literally not. It's still flat. So the description of the bottle is stated as being a wheel of fortune. Like you're turning it and you're turning the wheel of fortune, you know, the wheel of chance. And chance in French is fortune, right? So it's a wheel of fortune. But if we really observe these bottles, what we notice, especially in the little one here, is that, and this is the description that I kind of like less, but anyway, nevertheless, it is one of them. It's like a ring, like a wedding ring or like an engagement ring. That's why we have the metal ring around the bottle. It's like a ring, and here we have the diamond on top. So in the pure perfume, it becomes more obvious what it is, you know, being that the stopper is glass and not plastic, and you can literally take it off and then you're left with this kind of ring. And here we see it less. We notice it less also because it's a very chunky and big bottle. This could be more of a bracelet, a wedding bracelet for a huge person. So you would need a smaller size of Eau de Toilette to kind of envision more of a tinier bracelet or ring. But here we definitely understand that it could also be considered chance, as in take a chance, go embrace your fortune, get married. So it's a very kind of, especially back in 2003 when this one was launched, it's a very heterosexual type of concept if we are to attribute it to a wedding ring, which again, quite conservative. So that vision of it I do not really like that much, but most of the ad campaigns and most of the advertising since then has pushed more for the take a chance, take fortune by the hand, spin the wheel of fortune and go for it. And that's why all the flankers that came out have all been promoted as if these girls, each girl represents a different flanker. They go to different sporting activities, mostly bowling, and then they throw these balls, but the balls are actually bottles of chance, and then they throw them down a bowling alley, and it's kind of like the perfume might, make you win the game of life. So it is taking a chance as of now through Chanel's advertisement campaigns. They are seeing it less of or they're selling it, they're pitching it to us less as a wedding ring and more as a concept of you taking your own fortune in your own hands and going for it. I personally do not envision a bowling alley. So I don't know who came up with the idea of promoting Chance as a kind of a ball for bowling. I mean, it's fun, it's playful, it's borderline olive oil from Popeye. It has that type of humor and that type of clumsy sensuality in the way it's portrayed, especially how the girls are dressed and the boots, the kind of olive oil type of boots that they're wearing. That could be either 20s, 30s Chanel, but also olive oil type. And olive oil is a cartoon that actually also was actually in the 10s already, I would say, and in the 20s, also in the 30s. I don't know when Popeye was created, but definitely was there in the 30s already. So I would envision Chance as a more youthful Coco Chanel perfume, a more youthful Coco Chanel in general as a woman. So this to me smells more of what Gabrielle is today, the fragrance. So maybe Chance could have been called Gabrielle. It's a more young Coco. It smells like a younger Coco, but it smells like a Coco that knows what she wants or what he wants, because perfumes don't have a gender. So I would say, when if you do consider trying Chance, definitely try the Eau de Toilette. It's more interesting than the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Parfum came out a couple of years later, 2005. The Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum came out together in 2003. And there's they balance themselves out in a very interesting way. They're different enough to really be different, but at the core, they're the same. While the Eau de Parfum tries to bridge the gap between the two, and it is an unnecessary gap that really doesn't need to be bridged. But I can see somebody preferring the Eau de Toilette, or I can see other people preferring the Eau de Parfum. Personally, the Eau de Toilette, because of the pineapple that's lacking in the Eau de Parfum, and the game that the patchouli is playing with the hyacinth, is much more interesting to me. So I would recommend the Eau de Toilette. Try it out and see how it works for you, and especially see how it works for you in the dry down. You could also layer the Eau de Toilette with the pure perfume. I mean, you could say it's a bit of a waste because this one is so expensive. Why layer this all over yourself and then... But you could just spray this all over the body wherever you want to, and then go with this one just behind the ears and on the neck, and then you kind of enhance the experience of Chance on certain parts of the body, and so where the pulse is, and as the pulse works its magic as well, the pure perfume will emanate, enhancing the Eau de Toilette. They play they play very well together. They're a good team. This is a good team match or game. This one and the Eau de Parfum don't really play the game the same way as these two, because they're different enough to be really to enhance each other when they're working together. The Eau de Parfum and the Parfum are different enough in a way to help each other out. This one is more cool, this one is more warm. They're both quite cold. They're both, in a very Chanel way, cold. But this one is deeper than this one. So if you envision Chance, and actually it's really good that the bottle is flat like this, you envision it as a plane, and then it has a certain thickness to it, like this is the depth of it, right? But so if you put Chance all over your body, you spray the Eau de Toilette, and you have a certain thickness of it, all the places where you decided to kind of add a little bit here, like in this spot, we're going to add a little bit of the pure perfume, there the depth kind of goes deeper, it goes down. So you're going to have this kind of landscape, this flat landscape with dips, with dips going through from time to time in the spots where you've actually put or layered the pure perfume on top of the Eau de Toilette. It's really beautiful. Works very well, lasts for hours. Now, the pure perfume, couple of drops only, it's really hard to dose it because of the dabber, and I mean, spray would be better. But anyway, the way this one works, this is a really very, very tiny stopper. And so just to kind of work with what's the liquid, the perfume that's left on the stopper, it's a little bit of a torture, to be honest with you, because you gotta dab it over and over and over again to fill out a certain amount of space on your skin that you want in order to really smell yourself. The two working together, that it helps as well, definitely. So spray this on first, and then go a little bit into detail with that one. And then it's a great game. When they are layered, they can last a very long time. They can go for over 10 hours. Alone, depends on the weather. This one, all the times I've tested it out lately, prior to purchasing it, it can go from 4 to 8 hours. This one can go up to 10, actually, depending on also how I moisturize. Them together can go over 10 hours. And then you can take this one with you and refresh when you're on the go, because it is a spray. I would not put this one in the bag because there's a risk that this opens up and then you're going to lose all this precious liquid. Would I repurchase? Yes, I would. Will I repurchase? Yes, I will, but let's see how long this one lasts me. I mean, now it's February. Cool weather. This one works wonders in cool weather. How will it behave in the heat? It could become a bit cloying. I could envision it being a bit too much with the patchouli and the vanilla and the pepper. I'm not so sure I'm going to like the pepper in summer, but we'll see. I mean, if there's this huge difference of how I feel about it in the warmer weather months, I will do another video, an update video. The flankers. Here is 150 ml Eau Tendre Eau de Toilette. Flankers and chance. Now, I've fallen in love with the flankers before I fell in love with chance. The chance flankers. So, Eau Tendre, Eau Fraiche, and Eau Vive. I don't necessarily see them as different facets of the original chance. I do see them as extremities of it, perhaps. And if you want, then the extremities could be seen as facets. But all of the flankers of chance are, quite frankly, in my opinion, perfumes in their own right. So, to me, chance is a different beast altogether, and the flankers should be considered their own perfumes. That's my opinion on that. Because the smell is really different enough, and they cater to totally different emotions, different vibes, and different moods. There you have it, guys. I hope you've liked this unboxing and review of Chance Eau de Toilette with a comparison to the pure perfume and the flankers. If you have, please do thumb up this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on Chance in the comment section down below. And please consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube if you haven't already. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Super Dacob, all spelled together, and as mentioned before, also on Patreon, Super Dacob, all spelled together. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye.